I just wanna run it up.
County check or something.
I've been really in the field, let up, I've been really in the field, let her rush, I let her feel. Lately I just wanna run it up. Don't need no deals, I make the deal. Half a ticket to a meal. Lately I just wanna run it up.
County check or something.
Lately I just wanna run it up.
Count that too, count it up, count it up.
Lately I just wanna run it up.
Need them ones, I need them fives, need them tens, I need that change. To the safe, got blues inside. Greens and pinks, it's all the same. I still save and roll my change. Take some losses when I play, charge it to the game. I'm with L, yeah, I'm with T Black, I'm with Rabbit now. I'm with Bay, yeah, I'm with.
What's good, people? This your boy Cole with Cole Cowboy Sports Report. And I got a few guests in here. I got my guy, Henny Demore of HDM Sports. How you doing? I also got my girl, Stargazer. She gonna chime back in a minute. Oh yeah, she is right here. How's it going? I'm glad to have y'all in today. We're gonna go ahead and talk a little draft talk, a little off-season move where our Cowboys finally been doing what we've been wanting them to do for a long time, and that's actually participate in the off-season activity. So how y'all doing today, man?
Man, living righteous, my guy. I appreciate you for inviting me over here, man. Love the setup, by the way, brother.
Hey, I try, man. I try to entertain. Shout out to an Eagles fan. I'm not gonna say his name, but he actually made that hype video for me. He just told me to keep him anonymous, so I'm gonna do him a favor and do that. But hey, I'm glad for to have y'all come over. Beautiful Sunday afternoon. Thanks everybody hitting in the chat, man. What's up, my guy Thomas, man? What's good, my guy? You know what I'm saying? How y'all think about the off-season moves that we've been doing so far? Are y'all excited about the moves that we finally made? Do you think we could have did a little bit more? What's y'all thoughts on everything?
Ladies first, Star.
Well, I think I give our off-season I know, and we still have the draft, but so far with the moves that we've made, I would give us a grade of an A+. I think we did an excellent job in addressing the cornerback two, in picking up Stephon Gilmore. I love the way that we went about getting Stephon Gilmore because he was on nobody's radar. There were no reports about us acquiring him. No beat writers. Nobody knew that we were going to get him. I think it was literally Michael Lombardi had tweeted right before we acquired Stephon and said, I think Dallas is going to get them a cornerback. But other than that, there was no buzz about it. And I really appreciate that because that means that the front office is finally keeping their mouth closed, and making moves in silence. And then also acquiring Brandon Cooks, which we know that we were linked to him last season before the trade deadline, but of course we didn't end up landing him. And the big names that were linked to us this offseason was OBJ and DeAndre Hopkins. And so the fact that we just basically stealthily under the radar got Brandon Cooks, I think is also huge. And so getting those two pickups and then also re-signing our guys, re-signing Donovan Wilson, LVE, franchise tagging Tony, which I probably wouldn't have done, but I would have just given Tony a contract. But anyway, that's one of our key playmakers on offense. You brought him back. Finally, we brought back Jonathan Hankins, which is huge because we know that last season when we got him before the trade deadline, he just did wonders for our defensive line and really, really helped our middle linebacker, Leighton Vander Esch. So all in all, I think we've just done a great job this offseason in acquiring talent, maintaining or maintaining our talent. And so now that we set ourselves up we can go into the draft BPA, which is the way you want to go into a draft.
I can agree with that. I second all of that. And really, the only qualifications for me, in acquiring talent is they just have to be better than the guys that I have, right? Exactly. So they did one better. Like my only qualification going into the offseason was just to get somebody better than Noah Brown. They went out their way and they got somebody that's better than Michael Gallup. Because you just look at the entire body of work of a guy like Brandon Cooks. He had 6,000-yard seasons. He was good enough to be Tom Brady's number one wide receiver. He was good enough to be the number one wide receiver for Drew Brees. He was good enough to be the number one wide receiver even when Cooper Kupp was in LA. People don't talk about that, but that is the truth. He was the number one wide receiver when they made their first Super Bowl appearance. Mm-hmm. So like he's a guy with a very lengthy track record. He still has very good game speed, and he's only a year removed from 1,000-yard season. And I know it's not DeAndre Hopkins, but he's slightly younger than DeAndre Hopkins, right? He's had 1,000-yard season more recently than he did, so I love that move. And it was pretty much the same thing with the cornerback 2 position. We literally had 7 different guys line up there and take snaps at the opposite corner position last year. Anthony Brown, when he was still healthy. Then Kelvin Joseph went out there and got torched. Then we rotated different guys. We even kicked Ron Bland out of his slot position to play outside corner at different points. So I was glad that they got Stephon Gilmore, and he actually brings a leadership element to that secondary. He's a guy that a lot of you guys probably look up to. You saw how Trayvon Diggs and Michael Parsons were fighting over his jersey after the playoffs. So like he's a guy that's going to demand respect. He's a guy that is a former defensive player of the year, and if you understand how the NFL works, that is amazing that a defensive back even won that award. Yeah. So he's a guy with big pedigree. So I like that, and not even just with the guys that we actually acquired, it was the guys that we let walk. Normally what the Dallas Cowboys do is they keep guys that they like and they try to sell you on, well, he's our guy, we can see him developing and doing this and doing that. Like there was a time that they would have signed Noah Brown back to a contract. Right, they would have kept Connor McGovern around, and I was not too high on either one of those guys. And and that's not me being cruel. I know Noah Brown had the best season of his life. It's just his best was just not good enough. So just the fact that the Dallas Cowboys were willing to let guys that they drafted, walk out the building and sign somewhere else, I think that's a difference it's definitely a philosophy change in my opinion. But yeah, I give it an A+ as well.
Yeah, I piggyback up the A+ as well, only because, and I'm saying A+ because of their standards, not because of NFL, because of the Cowboy standards. We've been stuck in this loophole for years, dealing with, let's say it together, we like our guys. You know what I'm saying? So right. Of course, we have a lot of guys that we like that I'm glad we re-signed, but the category of we like our guys, an example, Noah Brown. Now, if you know me, man, Noah Brown has been a thorn in my side ever since he got drafted. You know what I'm saying? I never was hyped on the guy. He was never a big, he was a guy. You know what I'm saying? Then they tried to sell us. Well, he's a great blocking wide receiver. We got offensive linemen for that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I want you to catch the ball. Now, granted, this season, I was cool with him. When he had that breakout game against the Bengals, like I was very impressed with him. He was catching, he was making, catches. He was doing what he was supposed to do. But they tried to, sell us. Oh, Stephen Jones is right the whole time. Nah, when it came to the times that we needed, he did what Noah Brown did. He was brick-handing the ball to the other team too. It's not thinking, I always think about that Jacksonville game. That's the once I saw that Jacksonville game
Mhm.
and he literally had a chance to catch that ball and went to the other team. I said, I'm glad it's over with. It's over with. Let's go ahead and get up. So the fact that they didn't bring him back, I was shocked. I was very shocked because that's what they do. And just to piggy off the offseason, I don't know about y'all, but I think a big part of the reason they making these moves is because it's two guys, and that's Mike McCarthy and Dan Quinn. I think they finally was like, hey, we got one guy, the final piece of the Garrett, you know what I'm saying, the Garrett tree out of here. It's time for us to go up here and cook. You know what I'm saying? We seeing these guys and we seeing Mike McCarthy in the owners meeting. He said he ain't been there since how long? 2018? You know what I'm saying? So you mean to tell me they didn't think to bring him last year? You know what I'm saying? They finally letting him make moves. So that's why I love to see. You know what I'm saying? And hey, shout out to my guy landlord about to be in this thing, man. Hey. we trying to get ourselves together. Hey, no big, bro. Just let me know. But hey, let's go ahead and pivot to the draft, man. Because as far as this draft, I don't know about you, man, but I got my eyes on my O lineman. I am. You know what I'm saying? I wanted the flashy toy. You know, especially with the wide receivers talk. But since we took care of our receiver and we got Brandon Cooks, which I love to pick, I wanted D-Hop. I'm not gonna lie. But whenever I saw that we got Brandon Cooks, I said, you know what? We can work with this. This dude is actually what we need. You know what I'm saying? So now that we got our shiny toy out the way, you know what I'm saying? We can focus on an offensive lineman. My draft pet cat is Osiris Torrance. I like the way how he blocked. I love his footwork. I believe he'll be a great addition to our offensive line. I want to go ahead and get y'all insights of what y'all think we should do offensively and defensively.
Well, this is how I feel about pick number 26. I believe it's a privilege to be in this position.
Yeah.
You have earned the right with the offseason moves that you have made to go best player available. You are not thirsty for anything. And honestly, even at the offensive line position, if the Dallas Cowboys do the smart thing and they let Tyron Smith be your starting left tackle and Tyler Smith be your starting left guard, you have no holes in your offensive line. You just brought in, Undoga, how you say his name, from the Jets.
Yeah.
Who can play both guard and tackle. And I know he ain't that good, but neither was Conor McGovern, right? So you actually brought in offensive line depth to prevent you from having to, if Tyron was to go down, you could lead Tyler Smith right there at guard, and you could put number 71 out there at left tackle, and it'll only be one offensive lineman, you have to move instead of moving Tyler Smith back to left tackle, then bringing up backup guard, and there's two guys out of position from where they've been playing before. So that's my thoughts on that. You have the ability to draft best player available at this point. So if it is a wide receiver there, like let's say Jordan Addison is there, or JSN falls at number 26. I'm even hearing, it's a possibility for Quentin Johnston, who actually is one of our 30 visits, to fall in the draft. So, if anybody is there like that, then, you earn the right to draft them. And I'm not saying that, we necessarily need wide receiver, but I would rather draft the best guy there than reach for need. When you reach for need and scheme fit, that's when you have issues like Taco Chart, and that's when stuff like that happens. So, just go ahead and draft whoever there is the highest graded prospect on your list. If your sheet says, well, damn, Steve Avulia there, I be pushing these boys' name. I'm from Arkansas. Y'all gotta bear with me. Like, it's gonna happen.
I know what you're talking about, man.
Yeah, so from TCU. So let's say that he's there, and that's the highest rated player that you have, then you should take him. Yeah. Right. But let's say that somebody else is there. Let's say, everybody is just fell asleep in the draft, and Quentin Johnston falls you at number 26. Michael Gallup is your highest paid wide receiver right now, and he's probably your third best guy. So, the writing is on the wall for him. So, you can still get out of his contract next year if need be. He won't save as much on it as you would before because you already restructured it, but you can still get off underneath that contract if Michael Gallup does not produce. So there is always room for another outside wide receiver. So
Yeah,
this is how I feel. BPA, don't get cute.
exactly. And man, bro, when you mentioned Taco Charlton, man, that kind of made me mad a little bit because we could have got TJ Watt that year, man. I always think about that. We passed up on TJ Watt for Taco Charlton, man. So it's crazy how the draft can be, man. So what are your pet cats draft picks, Stargaze?
Okay, so I too am team. Can y'all hear me good? Oh,
You
my
We
God.
fine.
can hear you perfect.
Excuse me. It was if y'all heard a lot of noise in the background. It's my niece and nephew dog. So
You
dog
good?
squirrel and sprinted out of here. But I'm team draft an offensive lineman at 26. Um, I'm in the sense of I think that offensive linemen I'm saying this because I believe there will be a premium offensive tackle or guard there at 26. I'm not saying to reach for obviously a second or a third rounder there if say all of your premium, offensive linemen are off the board. But what I am saying is that I think that personally we need a left tackle
Yeah.
because I think that even though I do think that what's his name? Tyler Smith did a phenomenal job last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this guy, we played him at guard the entire training camp, entire preseason, and then we just threw him out there at left tackle week one. And this is a guy that held his own all year. However, I think he led our offensive line in sacks. And I just think it's not because of he's a very, very powerful kid. Not only is he powerful, but he is great in space. So great as a lead blocker and things like that. However, I think when it comes to the ability to dance on an island, which is what's required of your tackle, he struggles a little bit in that area because of his feet work. This is why you see guys like Duke Manyweather say that they really do think that Tyler would be better. That basically, if you put him at a left guard right now, this guy would be instant Pro Bowler, could possibly even be an All Pro. Um, and so I definitely think we need a left tackle because we know that Tyron is not going to hold up, hasn't held up since I think the last full season Tyron has played was in 2014. So
That is correct.
so nearly 10 years ago. Almost 10 years ago. So we definitely need to get a left tackle. Is what I'm thinking. Now you can get a guard like a Osiris Torrance, like a Steve Avila. I mean, these guys, like a John Michael Smith. I mean, these are guys that day one starters. They're coming in, they're making an impact. You can keep Tyler Smith out there at left tackle. But I think if I was the play caller, if I was the offensive coordinator, if I'm the O line coach, I'm looking for me a left tackle. And so my pet cat specifically is Broderick Jones.
Oh yeah, I like.
Broderick Jones out of Georgia. This guy has the highest ceiling, I think, of any tackle or alignment in the draft. I mean, when you look at him, almost his build kind of reminds me of a Tyron that they kind of look his build, he almost looks like a tight end the way that he's
Yeah.
built. And so you would think like because he's built like that, like he would obviously have like some power issues, but this kid is powerful. He is nasty because Georgia's running scheme is a power they are a power run scheme football team. And so he's phenomenal in power run scheme, power run blocking, can stand up a guy stoutly, great anchor. So this is a guy, but he actually struggles a little bit in a zone run scheme. Not that he doesn't have the feet or anything for, because when you look at him on an island. When I looked at his film, I was just floored with his technique, with his ability to just dance with these defensive ends. It was like no problem. Bull rush, no problem. Quick speed rushers, no problem. I mean, this kid is it. So if you can see, I'm totally bought in him. So I mean, if he's
Yeah.
there at 26, I
Get him.
I think, I think you
Get him.
got to get
You
this.
gotta get the best one.
You got to get this kid. I mean, if he's there at 26, and especially knowing that Mike Solari, Broughton Schottenheimer, how they like a power run scheme. I mean, this kid just fits fits us the best. I would want a Vila, but if I gotta pick between a Vila or Broderick Jones, I think you go with Broderick Jones there. But I'm also for, if guys like JSN fall, which I remember last year when I was watching film on Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, JSN was a receiver that was screaming off the screen to me. I remember like literally in my notes saying, "Who is this guy?" Like
And it's crazy. He led that team in receptions and everything, even with those two out there. Even though he was supposed to be the number 3, like he led them and
he
everything.
led them. Like this kid
Took
is
over the show.
phenomenal. And I think his one knock is they say that he's slow, but I'm like he doesn't play slow because I mean this kid is he's definitely electric. I'm gonna be frank.
Probably the best route runner in this draft among the wide receivers.
Right. He's absolutely the best route runner. If you look at guys like and I personally I like Quentin Johnson. I have not delved deep into film on guys like Jordan Addison and Zay Flowers, so I'm gonna be frank there because it's taken me forever. I've been just delving deep into offensive linemen. So I've just now like kind of gotten to my running backs and my wide receivers. So I still need to do in-depth film on Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison because I know those are some guys' pet cats. But I have watched Quentin Johnson. I think Quentin Johnson is phenomenal. I think a guy like, even though we wouldn't take him in the first round, but receivers like Tank Dell out of Houston. Um, who else am I? Somebody else that I'm thinking about that's from SMU. Rasheed Rice from SMU. So these are receivers that are definitely I think can come in and give us some juice now. But I think if we're doing BPA, I know a premium tackle will be there on the board. So I'm gonna rock with Broderick Jones. I see Dewan Jones. Somebody said Dewan Jones in the chat as well. I'm for taking Dewan Jones as well. I think Dewan, he's probably going to have to drop a little bit of weight, but he's still a great technician. You cannot get around him. He kind of like engulfs guys. And then you see somebody like Anton Harrison from Oklahoma. These are just it will be so I feel like there's going to be a handful of tackles there that we should be able to take. But as I said, if a guy like JSN falls or a kid like Quentin Johnson, who's a 6'4", 4'4" guy, gives Dak that big. I don't think Dak's ever had a 6'4" wide receiver. He's never had a huge wide receiver like that. So not only that, but the speed factor as well. And I think I like Quentin Johnson because he comes with that nastiness, and I feel like you kind of need that. Wide receivers kind of like corner, like you need that dogness in you to really elevate and take your game to the next level on the second level, which is the NFL. So
Yeah, I love every name you spoke. It's so many. I have more than one pet cat. The other one I have is Zay Flowers, and I already know we're not gonna touch him because of his height. He ain't up there on the Cowboys radar as far as his height. But that dude is he is an outstanding. I can't even talk. Outstanding player. Like I just seen highlights of the guy. I'm talking about breaking open space, going straight to the end zone. Man. That's what we need, a straight burner. But the Cowboys wouldn't touch a guy like him. But I do like, what I'm saying, the people that they brought in. But hey, Henny man, what's your pet cat as far as offense?
Offensive pet cat, second round, Marvin Mims.
Oh yeah, he's nice.
I really like Marvin Mills, and I know that it's probably it's probably not a stat that's going to be he going to be able to duplicate at the next level. But the man averaged 20 yards of reception last year, so he ran a 4.3 at the combine, and when you actually watch his tape, he's getting behind the defense. He's running past guys, on screens. He's getting the ball and getting upfield very quickly. So he a guy that I really, really, really like in that regard. So yes, he's a big play threat waiting to happen.
Hey, for sure, for sure. As far as defense, mine, I'm biased because I'm a Mississippi State fan. But Emmanuel Forbes, man, I mean, yeah,
Oh
he a
yeah,
skinny dude. He a
Oh,
skinny dude, but he a ball hog, man. Like
he
he's
is.
perfect for
I
He
defense.
think I,
is.
I think all
He
three of
is.
us love it. I think all three of us
Yeah,
love it.
all three of us. We connect on that because Emmanuel Forbes is. I don't care how much he weighs. The kids, you can bulk up. The guy is 6'1", so he's not a short corner. 6'1", got long wingspan, has that nasty attitude. You see him putting his nose down to make those tackles. This guy trying to knock out tight ends.
Yeah,
I mean, when you have a guy, and then on top of that, this guy leads the NCAA in pick
Mhm.
sixes. He just has a knack and a nose for the football. So to have two guys on your team with that type of ball skills, I definitely think that would be a guy that I would take if he's sitting there. And I know on the CBS board they said he's like a top of the second round, which I'm like, I don't know how y'all don't have this guy in the first round. I mean, but I mean, I guess it's the weight. But I mean, as I said, you can put on mass, but when you go to a type of ball skills that this kid has, it's just next level. I don't think there's any corner in the draft that is matching what he's been able to do ball skill wise, and I just think that's a premium. And then not only that, but he tackles, because I know y'all, we get on to Diggs because we say Diggs doesn't want to
yeah.
tackle.
But
Diggs doesn't
hey,
want to tackle,
They
but
say that
Dion
about
was the
Diggs.
same way. Dion Sons, I ain't comparing them. I'm just saying Dion Sons. Some of them they take their business, they make business decisions. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm gonna say this: like they say that Diggs and I want to tackle, but they chose the wrong season to say this because this was actually his best season as a tackler.
exactly.
They must have
It,
got
it
that
made
situated Bengals
it
game.
made game saving tackles. I remember that Bengals game.
Bengals
Hmm.
game showed
And
a
I
lot.
just said even the other day, like we get on them for when in the 49ers game when Kittle's bobbling the ball, and we're like, Diggs, you could have knocked that ball out. But if you looked in the running game, Diggs was actually trying to come up and feel and make those tackles. So um,
Plus,
I don't think that's a knock on Diggs. I think we need to give him an extension. We need to pay him today. If I was a GM, I would have paid Diggs
let me tell you
a
something.
long time ago.
Hmm.
That situation, I wouldn't even crucify him on something like that. First of all, that could have been a penalty if he did interfere. You know what I'm saying? You know how these referees is. Something would have happened. They would have threw a flag or something. You know what I'm saying? But that wasn't the impact of the game. And you know, just to step off, what we were talking about. Shame on the Dallas Cowboys for even bringing that up on their personal site, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. But
Yeah, I'm
I
with you.
hope that we do extend him. I would want him to be on the team because we got Gilly, but Gilly old. You know what I'm saying? So I would like for us to have two ball hops on both sides of
Absolutely.
the field. You know what I'm saying? That's why I want Emmanuel Forbes to come. This is the perfect defense.
Hmm.
They're great at getting the ball. Didn't we lead the league in takeaways both back-to-back seasons, if I'm not mistaken? I know we was up
Our
there. I don't know.
defense, yeah, I think so. I think
I
we did
mean,
2 years in a row. Yep.
that's what we need. We need that. But I'm gonna pivot to y'all. I know we all agreed on Million Fours, but do y'all have anybody else that y'all probably like on defense?
On defense, uh, yeah, yeah. I think I might. I'm trying to see.
I know we were looking at some edge. I know Will McDonald. He
Well, no, I know. I like Mozzie, man. I know,
oh
like
yeah,
some
Mozzie.
people.
Oh yeah,
I know some people aren't really high on Mozzie, but if
because
you're
in his
talking about
arms.
if you're talking about like pure, one tech, one stopper, like he's going to be the premier guy in that aspect in this draft.
Yeah,
Like everybody else, like they might be slightly undersized. They might flourish and pushing the pocket and pressuring the quarterback. But you're talking about the one guy who is going to come in day one and can you know improve your run defense is Mozzie. And I don't know why other folks aren't that high on him, but I like Mozzie. I don't necessarily think I would take him at 26.
I think
I think there's I think that will be a slightly an overdraft, but yeah, I like him, especially if he falls to us in the second round. And of course, I'm from Arkansas, so I gotta have love for Drew Sanders.
oh for sure, man. I had my eye on Drew Sanders too. I like the way he plays. We need a guy like him.
Yep.
My second one would be Cansey. A lot of people, I've seen a lot of good film on him as well, but I'm not gonna overhype him with the Aaron Donald thing. I think that's what's really grasping people. You know, Aaron Donald Jr. They both went to the same college. I'm not personally, and this is just me. I don't really see much of an Aaron Donald from him, but he is a great, interior lineman. And me, I played that position. I love his footwork. I love the way how he, clog up the holes. But he's not really clogging up the holes that much. He's more of like a pass rush. We don't need a lot pass rush when it comes to that type of position. We need somebody that's gonna stop the run, and I don't think he's gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? So
Right. That's my I agree 100%, Cole, and that's my only knock on Elijah Cansey. Or I think his name is Kalijah.
Cansey,
Yeah. So that's my only knock on Kalijah is that our defensive tackles are asked to stop the run. And so with Kalijah, he's a 3 tech, gets upfield type of guy looking to sack the quarterback. And that's just not what we ask our defensive tackles to do. You can see that's why Mike McCarthy, DQ asked our defensive tackles to bulk up. Guys like Chauncey Golston, guys like Neville Gallimore, guys like Odigizua, they asked them to put on about like 10 to 15, 20 pounds of muscle because they need these guys strong enough so where they're not getting blown off the ball in the trenches and they can hold up blocks, right? And either stop the run themselves or hold up the block so that our linebackers can feel and stop the run. So, when you have a guy like Kalijah Cansey, I think he could be great, but I think he just got to go to the right. Just like Jason Garrett said, he doesn't fit, right? So you got to go to a place, the right scheme. I don't think scheme wise Kalijah fits us. I think watching film on Mozzie, this is a guy that makes everybody behind him better. And I think that that's the type of defensive tackle that you need. They don't get the accolades or whatever because they're not making, getting sacks or anything like that. But these guys are making everybody behind them better. And I think I said on the other night when we were going live with West Coast is that if you want to look at all the good linebackers in the league, every single one of them, the Fred Warner's, Darius Leonard from the Colts land. You look at these guys, you can even say what's his name that plays over there in the Jets, Mosley. He's playing behind what's his name, Quentin Williams. So these guys got big, nasty nose tackles and defensive tackles in front of them. So you guys, and I'm gonna say this because I'm thinking about putting out a video about LVE because I know there's a lot of people who can't stand LVE. He sucks, and
I like him.
This depth per tackle stat that is swirling around him kind of reminds me of the Diggs yard stat. But anyway, people are saying, well, he didn't do better till he had Jonathan Hankins in front of him, and then that's my rebuttal to that. Well, in order for a linebacker to play well, and to not have constant 300-pound linemen on them every play, like you need defensive tackles.
Yes.
So that's just the bottom line. That's why we're glad. And I'm just like Keystone said in the chat. He said, keep LVE really is. We are playing him out of position because he's not a middle linebacker. He is a weak side linebacker. And what Jay said, LVE, he waits to fill holes. He did at the beginning of the season. It was bad.
Yeah.
He was not he was not filling holes at all. The second half of the season, we really started to see LVE go in there specifically. If you look at the Texans game, if you look at, I think the first no, the first Eagles game was bad, but the Texans game, the Bengals, also if you watch his his two best games was the Texans game and the 49ers playoff game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's 2 years in a row that the guy that y'all, and I'm not saying y'all, but I'm just saying the Cowboys Nation says sucks. That's 2 years in a row that this guy has stepped up and has had one of his best games in the playoffs. And that's the type of player that I want.
Yeah.
Are
Right.
you going to show up? Are you going to dominate when it's win or go home? Because it's one thing to do it all through the season. Let's bring up Brett Maher, right? Money Maher didn't miss a kick all see. I think he missed one kick all season. He literally led the league in points for a field goal. I mean, for a kicker, led the league in points. I thought he was going to for sure make the Pro Bowl. I don't know how he didn't. And then he gets to the Bucks game and just misses kick after kick after kick. That's what you don't want because the stakes are high in playoffs. It is literally win or go home. And so for a player who says, you know what, I may have some ups and downs in the season, but when the game, when my season is on the line, I'm gonna rise and I'm gonna do the absolute best that I'm gonna play my you know what off. Like those are the types of guys that you want on this on your team. That's why I was okay with with giving LVE another contract. And I know we wanted Bobby Wagner. Obviously, Bobby Wagner is better than LVE when it comes to stopping the run. There's just no denying that. Even with Bobby Wagner's experience, this is a guy who just was second team All Pro again last year.
Correct.
So there's no one is saying that LVE is better than Bobby Wagner. But what we are saying is LVE is a good linebacker. And there's two people on your defense that love the crap out of LVE, and that's Dan Quinn and that's Micah Parsons. So I think if your leader and if your or not head coach, but if your defensive coordinator says, I love this guy, I think we got to give him a chance. And I think that we can expect better play from LVE even this year. Because I think, last year he's still kind of struggling. It's a mental thing when it comes to injuries. You don't want to get hurt again. But at the same time, as a linebacker, you gotta be able to tackle. But just like Keystone said, I do think if we could put Damone Clark into that role, then we can move LVE to the weak side, and let him play that because that's his true position.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this real quick.
Sure.
Like, that is true. Like, you have to expect better play from Leighton Vander Esch, but you also ain't got a choice at this point. Like you said, like you like what else we gonna do at this point? Like
we ain't got nobody else, man.
Yeah, because like you said, Bobby Wagner was sitting out there. He only signed for a $7 million deal to play football. So like if you wanted him, you could have afforded him. You're getting $10 million. On June the 2nd from Zeke, and then you had close to $13 million at the time, right? So you really had about $23 million to work with. Then all these other guys that we looked at, like Murrow, he ended up signing with the Eagles. Different guys that could have came in and that were true middle linebackers were out there on the market. We waited. We didn't do anything. We were fine with Leighton Vander Esch, and they're signed now. So we have no choice but to depend on Leighton Vander Esch. So that's probably is like my one knock against the front office. Not that I'm just upset that they re-signed Leighton Vander Esch. I always give him. I always grade him on a curve because he is playing out of position. Matter of fact, when he made his All-Pro selection, he was playing weak side linebacker. So, when he actually plays weak side, he's pretty damn good at it. It just hasn't been asked to do it a lot in recent years. But, that is one knock I do have on them so far. They have not signed a real kicker, and, they did not get a real middle linebacker.
The kicker going to be the last one, and they better not.
Start pushing to sign Robbie Gold. Like, I don't know why we didn't sign him as soon as he hit the market. Like, sign him immediately.
Right. Did he get signed? He didn't get signed by nobody, right?
No, I don't think so.
He waited after the draft when his stock go down. I'm a pivot, man. I'm a pivot. Please let me do this because my guy been begging for it, bro.
What's going on?
And he cool people, man. This my guy, man. Man, I'm trying to get to his daggone comment. It's going by so fast. But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and just say my boy Big Simple in the house, man. Commanders fan, man. Boy, you better hope I don't find your comment. Here you go, my guy. Calm down, bro. Y'all beat us. We 18. Congratulations, man. Hey,
Okay.
I hope y'all pay Sam Howell that number one deal, bro. The way y'all hyping that bro up. But hey, shout out to my boy Big Simple, man. That's my homie, man. Hey, but as far as linebacker, yeah, LVE, I'm like hot and cold with him because, like you said, Henny, he be out of position a lot. You know what I'm saying? But I did see in a situation when he was out, bro. We were struggling like a mother. We were struggling a linebacker.
Yep, that Jaguars game, the defense was, and that's one thing that Dan Quinn always says is that when they speak about LVE, he says you can really see the speed because LVE is the guy we gave him the green dot. I think him and Hooker split between the green dot last year.
Yeah.
But LVE, when you see him, he is lining up our defense. So LVE knows this defense through and through. He knows how to line. He knows where to line up. He knows where to line people up. LVE, and it's not that. Look at the film. It's not that LVE doesn't know the play. He knows the play. He's scared to go in the hole and feel. That's everybody's knock about LVE. It's not that he's not smart or he's dumb or sometimes people would demonize Jalen Smith because they're saying, well, he's going to the wrong hole. It's not that type of thing. It's not that LVE doesn't know what. It's not that LVE. What'd you say, Cole?
I said Jalen Smith deserved all the flack we gave him.
Hey, I was sad when Jalen Smith went because I think he's playing better.
He's playing better now, but
at 2021. But anyway, that's not here that we'll move on. But LVE, it's not that he doesn't know the plays; it's that he wouldn't go in there and fill those holes and put his body on the line. Yeah. And that's pretty much the next step. But anyway, as you guys said, that's just not his game. You know what I'm saying? We really need to move him. We need to move him to weak side. And Jay Money said he thinks his play recognition is slow. No, that's what I'm saying. His play rec is not slow. He knows the plays. Is that he doesn't want to go in there and feel. You know what I'm saying? Because he is scared of injury.
I mean, when you have a bad neck, you tend to move very lightly.
Yep,
you only get one of those.
You tend to move, and B-Bird said a linebacker that's scared to attack the hole. Well, I say he was because toward the second half of the season, LVE wasn't scared. He was running to the holes. He was making the tackles. As I said, his best games was the Texans game and the 49ers game. So we know how the 49ers get down. And LVE was all over that field. LVE was all over the field in the Bucs game too. So I think he was scared. But like I said, I think this year he's got this 2-year contract. I think we'll see a better LVE, especially since we'll have Jonathan Hankins there the entire season instead of just bringing him in half the season. I think we will see better linebacker play. But as you guys, y'all know, we got 2. We have Damone Clark. We have who did very well coming out.
1 second. I'll be right back.
Oh yeah. Damone Clark, who did very well after coming off of that back injury, which many people thought we were stupid and thought Steven and them were joking when they said, oh no, he's going to play this year, but he ended up playing. You still have Jabril Cox, which to this day, I don't think anybody knows why Jabril Cox wasn't. I know people say his tackling, but I'm like, was his tackling that bad that he couldn't get any meaningful snaps? It's a debate. It's a debate because
he could not play Anthony Barr.
Exactly. Anthony Barr,
because Anthony Barr was not that.
Anthony Barr was terrible, and he
had one good game, man.
He was so sad because we all threw a celebration when we got Anthony Barr, right?
Because we was thirsty for a move.
We was that's how bad it was. We were so thirsty to, but Anthony Barr had a good year in 2021, so I don't know what happened in 2022, but he just was not good.
I
I don't know what happened with him, but he wasn't good. He was not good.
I had
But
some Viking fans try to warn me about him, man. I was like, man,
the
y'all.
Viking fans did.
Yeah, Viking fans was like, bro, he okay, but and exactly what they said. He got injured too, and it was a moment when he did get injured when we needed him. And
Yeah, that's another thing. It's like then you got injured.
yep.
He just wasn't good. But Jabril Cox, hopefully we can see something out of him. Hopefully this linebackers coach McCurley or whatever his name is can get him on the field, because I think with Jabril Cox's coverage, he is our best coverage linebacker. So the fact that we can't get him on the field at all because of tackling, I think is just asinine. I think you can work on that. He's got to get some meaningful snaps. I mean, we're going into year 3.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm about to say it could be something behind the scenes too, because
yep, that's why I said he must have pissed somebody off or done something. Because I'm like, it's just cannot. I mean, we let Kelvin Joseph, we let Nashawn Wright on the field. You telling me you couldn't give Jabril Cox really any meaningful snaps because of tackling? I just don't see it. It's something else that happened.
Exactly. Especially with Kelvin Joseph, man. You know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, we let Kelvin, especially with Kelvin Joseph off his off-season issue. We let him on the field.
I wasn't even tripping about that. I wasn't even tripping. I'm talking about his game.
His gameplay.
Yeah.
I personally think we need to try KJ at safety, but we'll see. We'll see how they do. But I know this is a make or break year for KJ. Either he's gonna show up. I think he will be a camp cut candidate. If he shows up and basically half assing it and stuff like that, another off-field issue, he's gonna be cut.
Yeah, he need to do more than special teams.
Yeah, he's gonna have to show up. This is the year that Kelvin Joseph's gonna have to show up, or he's gonna be gone.
Man, hold on. He should be gone. He should have been gone. He should have been gone.
Henny is tired of Henny been wanting Kelvin Joseph out of here.
You don't get this many chances. You don't get
second round pick doing special teams. Where they do that at? A second round pick doing special teams. That's all he did. And he barely did good. The only time he actually did good was in that playoff game when he got that fumble cover.
That's true, because that's another thing. He was the only guy that got only defensive player that got us a turnover in that game, and in that suck because we couldn't even get a touchdown out of it. But he did make a play. So that's what I said. I'm giving Kelvin Joseph one more year. I think he needs to be attached to Stephon Gilmore at the hip, and I think he needs to keep. I'm tired of seeing. Just to be honest, I know you can do both, but I'm tired of seeing him drop music videos. I think it's time to stop dropping music videos and stuff like that, and let's focus in. Let's lock in, because you're not good at. This is what I'll say about to you, Kelvin, just to be watching. You're not good enough currently as a NFL cornerback to do both. You see, it'd be different if you were a Deion Sanders and then you was a rapper on the side. Okay, because you know what? It's like I have the capability. I'm showing the elite capabilities on the field, so I don't care what you do off field. But you're currently not good enough to try to be a rapper in an NFL cornerback.
But he started off his rookie season with the boss man Fat.
Yeah.
Kelvin Joseph, the football player. And you know what I'm saying? That's what upsets me, because I'm like, when we drafted him, we could have got Asante Samuel. Like he was there, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. With the father with NFL pedigree. But we chose Kelvin Joseph because of the trades, because of the 4-3 and the this and the that, and did great on his pro day and all that stuff, and that's all great. Yeah. But he's got to show up. He got to show up, or he'll be out.
Yeah, but hey, we definitely got off with that kill, but it had to be. But I wanted to go ahead and pivot on to the owners meeting, all the chit chat about Mike McCarthy, his philosophy with the team, and his conversation with Dak Prescott. Now, I rarely watch Undisputeds and all this crap, because the thing about these 3 or 4 little networks, especially in the off season, they like to turn around a narrative. So of course, you know how they do. They trying to flip it. You know what I'm saying? Lead the audience to a different direction. Mm-hmm. But I like me on the other. I like the way how they sat down and looked at, talked about each interception that was thrown. You know what I'm saying? Of course, as us being real Cowboy fans, we studying the game. We're not just jumping to conclusions when we see a number. We do know that half those interceptions weren't Dak Prescott's fault, but a good amount of them was. You know what I'm saying? And them the ones that I hope they really focused on because, of course, they knew if wide receiver touching the ball and they basically handed it off to the other team, that's not on Dak. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But some of the reads that he made, some of the situations, of course, you got to pivot in some of I forgot Kevin Moore's play calling,
Mm-hmm.
play with all the hitches and stick routes and all that stuff, predictable stuff. I wonder what actually went down with that conversation. Do you feel like this new offense, West Coast offense, will decrease the amount of turnovers he will have in the upcoming season?
Most definitely.
And the
And
really run heavy.
yeah, because when you look at the style of offense that we're going to be running, if you look at what Schottenheimer did, in Seattle, there's a lot of power runs, and then a lot of the West Coast concepts were coming off the play action. And even if when you go to straight, no straight, bless you, even when you go to straight drop back scenarios in a West Coast offense, it's all about timing and spacing. So like there's going to be a lot of 3-step and 5-step drops. You really ain't gonna have too many 7-step drops. Inside of a West Coast offense, it's designed to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand into the hands of his playmakers. So you'll see a lot of in breaking routes. You'll see some over routes. You'll see things like that, jailbreak screens, and a lot of these are going to be very simple completions, very simple reads, and the beautiful thing about it is Dak Prescott is already a quarterback that likes to throw with anticipation. He likes for his right wide receivers to be where they're supposed to be. And in the West Coast offense, that's all what it's about. By the time Dak Prescott is at the end of his 3-step drop, the ball should be coming out of his hand and you should be running into the open window. And that's how it should be. A lot of times with the option routes that we were running in these, in the previous scheme, Dak Prescott could be right. Wide receiver could be completely wrong, and we saw that 2 times in the Packers game. So because even Mike McCarthy said you're breaking it down like this with the concept, Dak read it this way, and then Wusu read it this way, and they asked him how he read it. He said I read it like Dak did. So even in a situation like that, Dak Prescott was right for the read and throw he made, but because the wide receiver did not see the same way the quarterback saw it, there were multiple interceptions in that game. So, it takes out the guesswork, right? It takes out the guesswork. All you gotta do in the West Coast offense to be good at your job, when you're released and get to your open area and the ball will hit you in the chest. So I like it. I think it will cut down on the turnovers. And the fact that we got better playmakers now. If you look at where Michael Gallup and where Noah Brown ranked in like the percentile, they're in like the lower percentile of wide receivers.
Yeah.
They were in the lower percentile of separation. So you got Brandon Cooks, who was number 1 most of his career now. You got CeeDee Lamb, fresh off of All-Pro selection. Michael Gallup should be healthier, and he's gonna be your number 3 wide receiver. He ain't gonna have to worry about being the 2. So you're set up, to be better just by the personnel moves you made, and then schematically you're playing in a more quarterback and wide receiver friendly offense. So I do agree that in of itself will clean up the turnovers.
For sure. What's your thoughts?
Absolutely, yes. The West Coast system is definitely gonna decrease Dak Prescott's interceptions because Dak Prescott only threw 4 interceptions his rookie year, which means that his rookie year, Dak knew how to find the open wide receiver. And that is something in the Mike McCarthy press conference at the owners meeting. He said, when I was in Green Bay, Aaron throws it to the open guy. So that's exactly what Dak Prescott, that's when Dak is best. That's why when you see Steven, Jerry, Dak is a better quarterback when he can use his brain, his eyes, find the open wide receiver, get the ball to him. He doesn't need to be worried about. And Mike also said that it's not the quarterback's job to worry about how many touches or how many targets a wide receiver or a running back gets. It's the offensive coordinator's job. Dak's job is to read and react. And if you see this year, we not only had an aggressive option route system, but Kellen Moore also had Dak pure progression reading. So literally reading all across the field. If you look at NFL quarterbacks, their offensive coordinators are not asking them to do that, right? So you're lessening the amount of reads that Dak has to do. It doesn't mean that Dak can't do it, because obviously he can do it in this system. He had led the number one when he was healthy, the number one offense twice in a row. So if Dak is able to lead a complicated system such as the one we were leading with Kellen, absolutely he'll be able to lead a system, which is the West Coast system, which is the most quarterback friendly system. Now the system that we are going to run is going to be a hybrid, because Mike McCarthy did say that it's not just going to be a traditional West Coast three back step drop. It's going to be a fusion between the numbers, the digit system, as well as West Coast. But even with that, you have to know that it's going to be, everything is tied to Dak Prescott. So Dak Prescott is controlling, everything is tied to his feet. So Dak Prescott is controlling who gets the ball. There's not, and receivers, you run the route. That's it. You're not having to. Now there may be one, like maybe, I don't know who they'll keep up option routes with. Maybe CD Lamb, possibly. Maybe they'll ask the newer type, Jake Ferguson or somebody to do the options. But mostly everybody else should be, you're going to run a post, you're going to run a drag, you're going to run a dig, you're going to run a slant, and that's it. I'm not asking you to read an NFL defense like a quarterback. Because you see, that was the issue, is that with Dak Prescott, it's not that Dak, people like to say Dak can't read defenses. Dak is actually one of the best quarterbacks at reading defenses. That's why defensive coordinators started to disguise their defense. Because when you disguise defenses, it's not that Dak can't read, it just slows down their processing. Right? So that's all they want to do. They want to slow it down so that the pass rush can get there, or so that you can end up throwing the ball late, which results in an interception. So but absolutely, Dak should. I'm saying Dak should have an MVP season. He should, in this system, because he was able to, what he was able to do. He technically had an MVP season last year, but we didn't even. Henny says this all the time, but we didn't even vote the man to the Pro Bowl. And he threw 37 touchdowns, which is the exact same number of touchdowns that the MVP got in Aaron Rodgers. So, but absolutely, Dak Prescott should thrive in this system. He's telling guys where to go. They're not. It shouldn't be confusion or anything like that. This should be baby. He's the conductor. So I think absolutely there should be no forcing balls or anything like that. And as Henny said, we now have better weapons, so guys should be able to win, get separation, and yeah.
Hey, and the crazy part of how that season went, with all the stuff that we had going on, we were still one game behind Philly. Ain't that crazy? Like, people fail to realize that we was literally one game behind Philly and one game behind the 49ers. I mean, if Philly and the 49ers would have lost that game, week 18, and we would have won, we would have been the number one seed. With what we didn't do in the offseason last year, and the fact that we was dealing with all of Kellen Moore's inconsistencies when it came to calling plays and scheming. Like, we was horrible in separation. We didn't get no separation, but yet we were still there. Just imagine how this team would be. You know what I'm saying?
Dak led the NFL in tight window throws.
Right.
Like, people don't know that when you have to throw a tight windows every freaking play, you're going to get interceptions, because that means that there's multiple people around the ball at all times.
Yeah. And, that's one thing that I can kind of blame Dak on. And I'm a Dak Prescott fan. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. Mississippi State. That's my guy. But man, did he had too much confidence in Noah Brown, man. Too much confidence.
Hold on. In his defense, what other choice did he have? I mean, like you somebody gonna have to catch the ball.
Somebody, he did have you right on that. He had too much confidence. You know, sometimes I always said he also overestimated Schultz's like height and capability. Like in that Tennessee game where he tried to throw the ball to Schultz with Kevin Byard on his back. Like that's just not a.
When you see a guy like Kevin Byard, don't
right. Like Schultz is not gonna win
a
possession.
No, that was
was a Hendershot that had gave that ball to Byard.
Yeah, that was Hendershot. That was Hendershot that gave the ball away. That literally bobbled it 50 times, and Byard got 2 interceptions.
He did get 2 interceptions.
Yeah, he got an interception when Dak tried to force it. Thought Schultz was gonna, I guess outmoss Kevin Byard. I'm like, Kevin Byard is a Pro Bowl, like multiple time Pro Bowl free safety. I don't know what Dak was throwing, but he always overestimates stuff. Like that he's like, he's just like the front office. I believe in my guys, and it's just like sometimes you just got to realize who your guy is.
The Bears game, he threw it to what's that safety? Jackson. Eddie Jackson. I like that, bro. I know, hey, you ball and you happy you back, bro.
That was another option route.
I'm like, Eddie Jackson, he a dog, bro. You need to calm down a little bit. But I was like, at least he getting picked off by some dogs, man, and no random guy.
That's true. Dogs did pick
at least
that off.
But for sure, like this is what I don't get, man. I'm gonna go on my soapbox as far as how things are. So we went 12-5 back-to-back seasons, and I'm talking to some Cowboy fans as well. You know what I'm saying? 12-5 back-to-back seasons. We never had that in a long, long time. But we want to dog every player out there. The first person, Dak Prescott. Now people realize this dude missed games. He didn't just miss games to go on vacation for 5 doggone weeks. He broke his thumb, his throwing thumb. So of course, maybe that probably would have been the reason some of those balls kind of went to the other team. They definitely would give Justin Herbert like a million excuses talking about he played with broken ribs.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I just think it's so comical how all of a sudden Dak gets all the blame, but for leading the league in interceptions and all that stuff. And we got Josh Allen with 14 interceptions.
Nine lost fumbles.
Exactly.
And I thought elite quarterbacks didn't need weapons around them, but now we got how many people saying Josh Allen, he needs more. He needs more. The Chris Sims and the Colin Cowherds and now Jim Kelly is saying Josh Allen, he needs more around him. He just needs more around him.
Real quick, I don't mean to cut you off, but shout out to the landlord for the $5 donation. He said he will get with us another time. He said he was through off, but he was been rocking with us, so I appreciate him for
that. He good, man. He good. But yeah, for sure, man. Like, these talking heads. I mean, I know that star carry weight, man. I know that, but at the end of the day, we need to hold these folks accountable for the stuff that they do, man. Because at the end of the day, you got Josh Allen that's still viewed as a top 5 quarterback in people's league. What did he do? Besides, they made the NFC Championship.
What did he do but wet the bed and go to the NFC Championship in the pandemic year?
Exactly.
Got blown out. Now this is the thing, like the biggest achievements of Josh Allen's career have been losses. He played well against for real, like he played well against Patrick Mahomes in a game that they lost. Like people be forgetting that they lost that game, and then they went to the AFC Championship game and got blew out by Patrick Mahomes.
Sure did.
So like those were 2 highlights of his career. No, they didn't happen chronologically like that. The blowout happened first. But like those his calling cards. Like he had 2 good losses.
2, and that's right. And then they whined and then changed the overtime rules because they said, it's so sad. Josh Allen had such a great performance.
And then turned around and got blew out. Matter of fact, Josh Allen was horrible this postseason.
He was.
They don't talk about it. They damn near lost to Miami. If Miami had their quarterback, they would have lost that game.
They
Check
lose.
this out. Check this out. Stephon Diggs was out like this with him. And and the media attacked Stephon Diggs and said he was wrong for that. Let a wide receiver of the Dallas Cowboys do that to Dak Prescott. Man, they would have been saying, man, Dak Prescott deserves
He's
it.
trash. Look at his wide receiver.
Yeah.
His number one wide receiver hates him.
Yeah, they be like,
all of
he
these
lost the
narratives.
locker room, and we need to find another quarterback. That's something they'll say, man.
Absolutely.
It's
People
just,
don't know that. But you want to say is Dak clutch in the playoffs? Go look at Dak's passer rating. Go look at Dak's stats in the playoffs. The only 2 playoff games Dak's had is versus the 49ers. Go look at Josh Allen's playoff performances.
Yeah.
Like they're not good. Besides that, his one all-world game, just like Henny said, where he lost last year, and they whined and cried and changed the rules. But other than that, Josh Allen is not no clutch in the playoffs. He actually, what y'all say, nutted up. Yeah, he nutted up in the playoffs. Like he's not clutch. He is what people say, a in-season quarterback. But even this year, he had way too many turnovers. This was not a good year for Josh Allen at all. In any circumstances, was this a good year for him?
Yep. And check this out. He had the weapons on offense and defense to get the job done. Von Miller got hurt. But man, it was some games when Von Miller was playing. I remember that Dolphins game. Y'all couldn't beat the Dolphins. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like let's be real here. And all of a sudden, they saying that Gabe Davis isn't. They trying to act like this guy's some bum. This is the guy that literally he broke the playoff record because Josh Allen threw in that game last year, in 2021. He threw majority of his touchdowns to Gabe Davis.
I wanted us to pick him up.
But all of a sudden, Gabe Davis is a bum. And Josh Allen, he just needs more. He needs more. He doesn't have enough.
Well, it's their fault if he don't even have a running game. That's their fault. You know what I'm saying?
True. They need to start running Josh like that because you don't want Josh Allen. It would really hurt if Josh Allen becomes a RG3 or something like that, who were so dynamic, but because the franchise being so careless with him, that his career is cut short.
Right. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to go ahead and wind things off with this. So moving on to the further down to the draft. After the draft, we're going to have OTA, minicamp, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to see us what do you want to see us doing going into the preseason? Who will you have your eyes on the most? You know what I'm saying? What are your expectations after the draft? And I guess it's a little bit too early because we haven't got our draft picks, of course. But as far as, the free agents, we can just talk about, or the people that's already on our team, who do you want to take that biggest next step? Let's just say that.
Jalen Tolbert. Like it's time because me and Wes was talking about this earlier, man. Like he plays so little football that you can damn near consider him a draft pick this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like he only had 3 targets, 2 catches. He played like 2 series worth of snaps, the entire year. So he's damn near a rookie himself. So like I need him to take the next step in his development so that he can get on the field. And this is a guy who had a lot of talent coming out of college. Yeah. We know he played at South Alabama, but 1,400 yards is 1,400 yards. And he was making plays against the Power 5 teams when they played. So, I'm really still high on Jalen Tolbert. Mm-hmm. I'm not high on him to the point where I say don't draft a wide receiver. But, I think that, if he puts it all together, he will have a spot on this team, especially when I think that Michael Gallup is on his way out.
Yep. Absolutely. I think a big year. Who am I expecting to have a big year? Jalen Tolbert. I'm expecting him to have a big year. I'm honestly expecting a role to be carved out for Simi. I feel like if Simi, because we remember Simi had a good training camp and he had a good preseason. He was the only wide receiver that scored a touchdown in preseason. So, and with Simi's speed and height, I feel like there's got to be a way we get him on the field some way, somehow. However, if we do draft Quentin Johnson, I think Simi might be gone. But I do think a role could be carved out. And I'm also expecting a big year from Sam Williams. Sam Slam Williams, I'm expecting him to really have a really big year. Hopefully, if he can get some more snaps than Dorrance Armstrong, because we did re-sign Dante Fowler, and I forgot about Dante Fowler, but I do want Dante Fowler to be getting more snaps. But I think with Sam's capabilities, we got to find a way to get him more snaps. And I think the snaps that you take away out of our DE group is probably going to be Dorrance Armstrong because this is his last year. So, but we'll see. We'll see how Dan Quinn and them scheme up this defense this year. But those are the guys that I'm expecting to have a big season.
Right. As far as me, I will go pivot on the defensive side. I want to see what Bland do. I want to see his progression. He had a great rookie season. Half of the season with five interceptions, playing from the slot. That's very impressive. Let's see what you're gonna do next year, man. Hey, that was great then. Now people gonna have their eyes on you. What you gonna do next year? So I'm very amped up to see what he's gonna do. As far as offense, it's Jake Ferguson. Hey, you the guy now, man. You the guy now. So
that's true.
You know what I'm saying? We need to see what you gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Because you was very impressive. Now we let Schultz go. Now I saw y'all little segment about the Schultz thing. My boy West Coast, man. Hey, on my behalf, I'm cool with Schultz gone because I will pivot on this. We was all the same way when Jason Witten left. Then guess who was the next guy? Blake Jarwin. When Blake Jarwin got hurt, who was the next guy? Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz about to go. Jake Ferguson. So hey, we gotta keep this rotation going, man. I believe Jake Ferguson is gonna have an outstanding year. He's gonna show that talent, and he got his dog Peyton Hendershot chilling on the side with him too. So I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys progress next season, man.
I would also say I forgot, but Damone Clark as well, because somebody in my chat said our linebackers. I expect Damone Clark to. I mean, this guy came in just from the little time that he had. Came in and made impact. I mean, turnovers, things like that. So if we can get Damone Clark cerebral, I can't even say the word, but if we can get him there mentally, to be our middle linebacker. I mean, this is a guy that ran a 4.4. I would really, and he's mean, physical, nasty. I mean, he could really have Damone Clark could really have a big season, but because he'll have a full, training camp, full preseason and everything. So that's also a guy to look out for.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Hey, I'm happy to have y'all on. Outstanding conversations we've been having. I know we got all our channels linked in, but hey, share your channel, your Twitter handle, where they can follow you. Go ahead and I'm gonna start with you, Stargazer.
Yeah, guys, you can follow me on YouTube at Stargazer Sports. You can find me on Instagram at Stargazer_sports. You can find me on Facebook at Stargazer Sports Media. And you can find me on Twitter at the Stargazer. But Gazer, instead of an E, it's a 3, and then it's 2 R's at the end. So those are all my platforms that I am currently on. But please like and share and subscribe this video on my channel, Cole's channel, and also Henny. All of us are, I would say, baby content creators, and that we are trying to get our channels up and going, and trying to get our ideas and thoughts out there. So please, help us grow our channels, guys, by sharing our content. And thank you, Cole, for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
Sure, anytime. Henny.
Yeah, man, it's your boy Henny the Moore, reporting live from the liquor store. And you can find me on YouTube. It's HTM Sports. Same thing on Twitter. On Facebook, you just type in Henny the Moore and I'll come up. And I appreciate you, Cole, for having me over here, inviting me over here in the liquor store. We've been rocking with y'all this whole time. Gotta do it again very soon. And we have our saying over here, man. I always tell my folks to drink and drive responsibly. But if you see an Eagles fan in the middle of the road, you have my permission to run their ass over.
You already know how I do, man. See, on YouTube, I keep it professional, but on Twitter, I'm toxic on Twitter. But hey, y'all can follow me on Cole's Cowboys, both Twitter and YouTube. Hey, thanks for coming by. Please like, subscribe, comment, share all of our content. We're gonna bring more to you. Y'all have a wonderful night.